So this is Matt Rife, and he's a comedian. He just recently did a Netflix special where he basically triggered a lot of people. And what's interesting about him is his core audience, I guess, especially women. And he actually did a couple jokes where he seemed very misogynistic, and he even talked about some DV, which of course is very inappropriate. But he's a comedian and he feels like people should kind of like toughen up a bit, get a little bit more, take it with the punches. And then he responded to this backlash by saying, if I offended you, go ahead and click this link, which ended up being a special needs helmet. So then people are like, oh my gosh, he's like coming for everybody. I'll be honest, I watched the special because I didn't know who he was, and I decided to find out more about him. The first thing that really kind of annoyed me was he went for the crystal girlies and the astrology girlies, and I was like, wow, you're just going in on us and basically talking about how astrology isn't real, and it's all a bunch of hoopla and a new age trend. Actually, astrology has been around since before Jesus Christ. How do you think they found him? Just saying. So you know what this means. It's time to take a look at his birth chart. So first of all, I want to say that him being upset that most of his audience is women is very alarming to me. Actually, because that's a bad move. Because why would you be upset about that? Women are like 80% of the consumer volume here in the US. And having a large woman audience has done great for a lot of male performers. Just look at Drake. So Mr. Matt is a life path number of 7, which is also kind of known as the teacher sign, the area of wisdom. So I would expect a little bit more from him, but unfortunately not. He is actually a little bit spiritual in his own sense and has kind of like a big ego presence. That might be why he went after the astrology girlies, because that's just something he hasn't been able to comprehend. So he is a Virgo sun. He is also a Taurus rising, and he is a moon in Aries. Right there with that Virgo sun, that area of duality. I know that this Mercury energy of being funny and being a comedian is very much like who he is, but he needs to pay close attention to who his audience is. And one of the jokes that he said is like, you can't cancel me like your gym membership. But actually, people cancel their gym memberships all the time and find a better gym, or maybe get a personal trainer. In his first house, he has that energy of Taurus, which lets me know that he's fascinated about all things beautiful and the material things. I hope he's able to keep them, because one of the things that concerns me is in his 11th house, which is aligned with Aquarius. And Aquarius is the collective. It's that energy of who is the community seeing you of. And he obviously is not doing quite well in this space, because right here he has it with Pisces, and he also has his Saturn return. So for most people who are going through a Saturn return, it's going to reflect some areas of restriction and boundaries. And the collective is like, hey dude, we get that you have these jokes and you think you're funny, but we have some boundaries, and you're making us question our boundaries. Do we really think that you're that funny? I'm going to say no. Because one of the things I want to point out is that his Saturn is opposing his Sun in Virgo. With a Saturn return, this can really be shifting his identity on who he is, and especially how the collective sees him. And also what's interesting about his 5th house is that it's also aligned with his Venus in Virgo as well. So even though he is very misogynistic and has a lot of what many people might see as toxic masculine energy, his energy is more on the feminine side. It's actually a little bit more of a feminine toxic energy. In that area of looks, ego, material items, and beauty and self-care is something that he holds very valuable to him. you might have to take a little detox bath and just let all this insecurities kind of float away. And another thing that I want to talk about is his moon in Aries. His moon in Aries makes him very spontaneous, and it also makes him very emotional, where it's hard for him to just shut the fuck up. You know, instead of apologizing, which would be something that would actually probably be a little bit more positive for him, he decided to clap back with a special needs helmet. So people who like him are going to continue to like him, and the people who don't are basically going to, stop following him. But best of luck, Matt, and I hope you take up some astrology. Considering you are a life path of 7, I was kind of expecting a little bit more from you, but never mind.